Dawn breaks over Gaza with the sound of strikes that killed 11 Palestinians, among them 2 children and 3 journalists, as Israeli attacks ripped through the enclave. 6 more lie wounded. Cameras are shattered, voices are silenced. These sporadic attacks on scribes created a massive outrage within the fraternity. Media watchdogs have expressed deep anger and claims that the region is by far the deadliest place for journalists across the world.
We're horrified and appalled by the killing of 3 journalists today in Gaza. This is the latest in a pattern of targeted attacks on journalists that we've seen by Israel on Palestinian journalists. We've called out and condemned this continued targeting of Palestinian journalists, which is unfortunately part of a broader pattern we've seen by Israel in an attempt to censor and control information coming out of Gaza.
The journalists were using a drone to take images of aid distribution by the Egyptian Relief Committee in the Gaza Strip when a strike targeted a vehicle accompanying them. Israel says that they carried out the attack on suspicion of drone usage.
Everyone knows that the Egyptian Committee's work in the Gaza Strip is humanitarian and relief-oriented, providing aid to our people under complicated security conditions. However, we were surprised today, and we wonder why Israeli aircraft targeted this jeep belonging to the Egyptian Committee.
Palestinians gathered to mourn the death of the journalists who were killed in latest strikes. Nearly 220 journalists, remember, have been killed by Israel since Hamas's attack in October 2023 that sparked the war in Gaza. The war front expands to the north as well. Israeli warplanes and drone strikes deep into southern Lebanon, hitting the towns of Kanarit, Bazourie, and Zahrani. 2 have been killed. At least 19 people have been wounded when drones target cars on open roads. Israel says the targets belong to Hezbollah. Weapons depot, infrastructure and hidden assets all are targeted. Israel justified their actions. It says that evacuation warnings were issued first and that bombs were dropped later. The attacks were carried out because Lebanon failed to disarm militant groups. In fact, that is what Israel has been saying. But back in Gaza, the damage goes beyond the dead. The UN warns that the city's lifeline is failing. Nearly 70% of Gaza City's water supply is disrupted. Pipelines are broken, repairs are stalled. A single section of steel pipe, which is labeled as dual use, is blocked from entry. Winter cold sets in. Clean water runs out. Civilians pay the price.
On water, sanitation, and hygiene, warned that approximately 70% of Gaza City's total water production is currently disrupted due to challenges related to repairing the Mekorot water supply line. The line comes from Israel into Gaza and is located east of the so-called Yellow Line, where Israeli forces remain deployed. An assessment of the pipeline identified the need for a section of steel pipe that is not available in Gaza and is restricted from entry into Gaza as a dual-use item.
The timing of these attacks is ironical. Just moments before these strikes, Israeli Prime Minister had accepted an invitation from President Donald Trump to join what is called the Board of Peace, a region kept on the edge since 2023 by Netanyahu, who is facing trial for being a war criminal. He will be part of the body that is meant to champion peace in the region. Since October 10th, a fragile US-sponsored ceasefire in Gaza has largely halted the fighting between Israeli forces and Hamas. But both sides have alleged frequent violations and kept the region on an edge.